Welcome, 559. This is the Not Offended Podcast crew, and we're talking about a little local segment. And today we're going to go local, because we're going to talk a little bit about what happened at church this weekend. So do me a favor, click, comment, share, and get the word out there. So one of the things that we've been talking about here, and that's been big on our plate and heavy on our mind, is we always try to delineate between people and their policies. And one of the things we try to talk about is always the decisions people make or the policies that they have. And we very rarely attack people's character, because if you attack people's character, then 9 times out of 10, you don't have a valid argument against them. So what we try to do is we try to talk about, hey, this is what they said, this is what we did, this is what they did, or this is what they stand for. As compared to if we don't really know the people, we don't really talk about the person so much or per se. That's a good piece of advice for somebody out there. Mm-hmm. If you don't know the person, then yes, you can have an opinion about what they said or what they did. But if you do know the person and you know that the apple is just as bad as the tree itself, well, then go ahead and comment. But for the most part, we try to avoid arguments that have ad hominem, which is a simple way of saying that you attack the person and not their policy. So we try not to be guilty of that. Although sometimes we may get a little heated. We may say some things and attack the person. You guys are looking at me like I've done that before. Have I done that before?
No, I was looking at you like I've done that before.
Oh, you've
Well, I know a journalist, that's why sometimes I'll say it this way. He said, this is the trick you do. He's like, they display a behavior as a...
Ooh,
So he's
I like that.
he's a journalist. That's how you can get away with saying stuff and not get sued.
Oh.
That was this whole thing. You can write about people. You can write people like they display the behavior of a bigot. They display the behavior of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is
Let me
write that down so we don't get sued, Bill. Yes.
Display as a...
No, the behavior of, or they display this. They have a
Behavior
tendency
as
to.
I don't know if they are, but the
Man.
behavior sort of points that way.
Central Valley 559. Take notes of the bishop and his words of wisdom right there, who got it from a journalist. This is good.
Yeah, I think arguments, conversations, those are all healthy things. I think once they come off, going personal and those type of things, that's where they kind of go left and right. But stick with facts, man. It's okay to call people out on truthful things, facts, and have those type of arguments with folks. So
I think that's a great point, Bill. You can point out the facts without really taking it to the next person or their behavior, and I think there's some merit to that. And the whole reason I bring this up is yesterday we had a little incident, and to which we had a guest speaker. And I had to correct him because he took some personal shots at some political figures. And I literally pulled the brother aside and I said, hey, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. I said, I asked you to do a specific thing, and this is what I need you to do. And taking personal shots aren't part of it. And it's interesting because, after I did all this, then we had another conversation. And finally, I just told him, you're not speaking at my church anymore. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that might shock some of you, but that is my right as a pastor of that pulpit, as this is the house God has, placed under my care. I will pull anybody. I'm not going to get up here and talk about other pastors. And when they do too much, is our saying around here, you're just doing too much, and then not, practice what I preach when it comes actually close to home. So I just want to give a little biblical context for all the believers who are watching. In Galatians chapter 2, Paul goes into a discussion about how something's going on with the Gentile believers who are converting to Christianity, and how some of the Jewish believers come in and say, hey, they need to be circumcised. And in Galatians 2, I believe, verse 11, he literally says, I confront Peter on this issue. Listen, I think you said it best. It is good to have healthy conversations. So what happened yesterday, it's good to have a healthy dialogue. It's good to push back. But if you're up there just for shock value and trying to win an argument, then you're not allowing other people to talk, and that's not how you win people over. And so for me, I felt that was a Galatians 2 moment. I'm going to correct you. I'm going to see how you handle that correction. And in this case, it wasn't handled to the best of what I felt was satisfactory to me. So I pulled him. I said, you're not speaking at my church no more. And so I know that's going to shock some people, but I'm responsible for this house. God has put this in my care, and I'm responsible for it. So when I had that Caiaphas or Paul moment there, I felt like this is what I needed to do. And I pull no punches. I pull no qualms about it. This was the right thing to do, because listen, you can say the truth and you can say it without grace, and it's just offensive. And even though there's still truth, a lot of people aren't going to hear it. And you can say things that are just full of grace without truth. And yeah, you're going to have a lot of friends, but they're going to be going in the wrong direction. But if you have truth and you have grace and your highest concern is for the care of the people, then you're going to see transformed lives. Okay. There was my little spiel. I take full responsibility though. All apologies. But any thoughts on that from, I know you weren't here yesterday, but. But you can still have a thought.
Yeah, just quick. That's why we take the microphone, the pulpit very seriously. And so just, I think the person just needed to know the audience, I guess, when you're speaking to that and where you were at. And
Right.
so maybe it's fit
Yeah,
for
we're not at no
different
political
affairs.
rally.
Correct.
This is a pulpit on a Sunday.
There you go.
You guys, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, what I say on this podcast is a lot different than how I speak on the pulpit. So I want to make sure people.
Go ahead and speak on that.
I don't want to
for
sound like a
second.
hypocrite.
No,
well,
go ahead and tell us the difference.
No,
Go ahead.
it's here. I got to talk. I realized, I was listening back to some of the clips. Like, man, I say some crazy stuff. And I was like, the way that I say it, I agree with everything I say. The way that I say some stuff is like, a little too much, doing too much.
Oh, Deshaun, guilty of his own. Maybe we'll get some of those clips and we'll just add them in.
No, you're getting my real thoughts a lot of
Okay.
times, but preaching is like the care for the people, and as a pastor, it's a lot more on here. It's like really how I think, but maybe I need to pray more before the podcast. I don't know.
Mike, go ahead.
Well, I appreciate you. We've been talking about different preachers and about how nobody's really come and said nobody's come out and corrected them. We talked about Mike Todd.
Oh, we have some.
right,
Yeah,
and we
correct.
talked about little dude
Tim Ross.
Tim Ross.
I don't think he's little though. Okay, but sure.
He looks little.
He likes little. All right,
okay.
so anyway,
Don't attack the person.
Yeah, stay out of Carrie.
Mike, you did apologize in advance. You go, I think I'm guilty.
I went along
Yeah.
with you too.
And I don't know how we all know who he was, but he said it. That's even worse. I know.
was I right?
No, go ahead.
and so
You too. I'm going to have to separate you two.
I appreciate how something was out of order yesterday, and you came out and you said, "Hey, like this is just not who we are. This is not what we do. We don't feel like this isn't the direction that we wanted to go. This isn't the direction that we talked about nor agreed upon. And you decided to do
100%.
something your own thing. But what I really do appreciate is the fact that you can come on here today with our congregation and other people watching and say, hey, look, he was out of bounds. He was out of order. That's just not the way we do things. That's not the way we treat the pulpit, nor do we feel like that's the way that you should be sharing God's word on a Sunday morning. And so I appreciate you doing that.
You got it. Well, my big thing is, listen, I can't expect other people to do right and to live right, and I'm not doing it. I've often said, listen, you don't always get it right, but you can make it right. This is my make it right moment. And, it's egg on my face, and I lived and I learned, and I'm ready to move on. And, I open up anybody who wants to have a conversation about it. Let's have a conversation, and let's have dialogue about it. And if you are offended and you left, then I get it. But I'm still open to have a conversation because I'd rather you walk out the door knowing that the door is open and the light is on instead of just walking out the door. That's just me, but that's my pastoral heart. That's what I long to do. I love people, and I still believe you can say the truth, and if you have grace with the truth, it just goes over a lot. It goes over a lot better. So not just one or the other. You gotta have both of them in conjunction. Hey, this has been your update on the 559, especially with our local church. We appreciate you guys. So go ahead and like, share, comment, and maybe send this to a friend who might need to hear it. Peace. We're out.